Greetings, Scotch scoundrels. Joshy here, coming to you from this wee bothy in southeast Michigan. And today, for my first video blog entry, I decided to pay tribute to no one in particular. I don't know how he keeps it zipped up. He must have a very small neck. Today we have Springbank 10-year-old Scotch whiskey, of course, for Scottish Week on Sipology. And this is a Springbank 10-year-old. This is from the Campbelltown region, which is the smallest of the traditional Scotch regions in Scotland. At one time there were around 20 or so distilleries in Campbelltown, but now almost all of them closed down. Springbank is still in business, and Glen Scotia, I believe, is the other one. There may be another. If so, I look forward to your letters, as Craig Ferguson is fond of saying. So, let's get down to it, shall we? Now, this is bottled at 46% alcohol by volume. For us Americans, that comes out to 92 proof. And it is free of artificial coloring and non-chill filtered, which leaves in more of the flavor. The artificial coloring, some distillers claim it makes no difference. You know, there's a long tradition of adding coloring to Scotch. Others get annoyed by it. I, having most of my experience in the bourbon world, am sort of annoyed by it and don't understand why it's allowed at all. Because, as you know, bourbon whiskey can contain no coloring at all, other than that which comes from the barrel. Speaking of bourbon, you'll see I have my Springbank 10-year-old in my Old Forester 75th anniversary of repeal Glencairn glass. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess, all the Glencairns in my house have bourbon-related logos on them, so this is the best I could do. And my two Rydell single malt glasses are dirty from last night. That review is coming later. There's a head-to-head. Because you know how I love those. All right, here we go. Whew. Nice. You get a nice hit of kind of nasal burn or alcohol on here, but also a real nuttiness, like a strong nuttiness, like a marzipan, sort of creamy almond, sweet, almost amaretto-like nose on this. It's really quite remarkable. You can see it's a nice kind of dark gold color, and again, no artificial coloring. This is all from the barrel. Oh man, what a great nose! What a great nose! Just like mine, given to me by my grandmother. See the pictures, you'll see it right there, staring you in the face. And this whiskey stares you in the face as well. The higher proof than the usual 80 proof or 40% alcohol by volume really does it wonders. For a 10-year-old, this is a whiskey of great complexity and depth. That nutty amaretto marzipan kind of taste is definitely still there on the palate, but it also is complemented by that sweet malty flavor that you only get from malt whiskeys, particularly Scotches. I don't know if they use any sherry casks or sherry butts. I do love me a good sherry butt. In there, in the making of Springbank, but I wouldn't be surprised. I have tasted a Springbank that used, or that was partially aged or finished in a Fino sherry butt. It was a special retailer bottling of it. It was really excellent. The nuttiness, it really kind of all came together. I'm going to add a little bit of water because it's over 40% alcohol by volume. I think adding water is fine. It's not going to drown it or anything. You can see I'm not using spring water. I'm using purified water though. And I avoid using spring water for a very specific reason. Some multinational corporations like Nestle and some others, in order to produce the brands of bottled spring water that they own, have been taking large amounts, often with no or at least very little permission from local communities, and taking large amounts of spring water out of the ground in places like Michigan, in places like Wisconsin, particularly around the Great Lakes. We have a lot of water here in the Great Lakes, but many of the areas of the U.S. that are growing at a faster rate, population-wise, don't have a lot of water. Arizona, Nevada, California, Florida, even their water resources are often stretched beyond their limits. Georgia, other places often have, I've been frequently having mostly man-made droughts. My philosophy is this: if you want to live in Georgia, if you want to live in Nevada, that's fine. But if you want water, and good fresh water, come to the source. Move to the Great Lakes area. There you go. Michigan's economy has pretty much collapsed, so everything here is very cheap for the time being. We're rebuilding though, but move here. You can get a house for cheap, and you got plenty of water. All you can handle. All right, off my soapbox. Enough politics for now. It's interesting, the nuttiness has not really dissipated with the water. If anything, it's come out even more. Because the alcohol has kind of died down a bit, and it allows that sweet nuttiness to come through. It still has a good bit of burn. Nice. The finish still has that, it finishes much more towards the amaretto side here. It's very sweet, and starts out with still with a good bit of burn, even though this is probably in the lower 40s ABV wise at this point. That finish just continues, and it's not really soft. It is sweet. It is nutty, but it's not soft. This is a whiskey that, sorry, the table's shaking there. That's not you. That's actually my table. Before I bought this bottle, I had never had anything like this before. I mean, this is really a remarkable whiskey. I'm partial to the Isla scotches. I do enjoy some of the Speyside kind of sherry-oriented ones. We're going to be reviewing one of those, a scotch from the Aberlour distillery later on in the week. But this is really just unique. And even though it's only a 2-distillery region at this point, Campbelltown is certainly distinctive. At least Springbank is. Um, so as you know, I don't give numerical ratings or grades or any of that stuff, because I think they're mostly worthless. Um, I know and respect a lot of people who give those grades and numbers. That's fine if it works for them. I don't find it very helpful. If I give this Springbank a high grade, but you're not partial to a nutty sort of flavor in your scotch, then you're not going to enjoy it. So I'd rather just describe how the whiskey tastes than give it a ranking. That said, highly recommended. Highly recommended if you can find it. Now this is not available in Michigan, unfortunately, but it is available in surrounding states and is available in many other places around the country. So that's our review of Springbank. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you're enjoying Scottish Week on Sipology. And I'll see you around the internet. And take care, and God bless. Goodbye. I'm going to turn this